John Anthony West, born January 1st, 1932 in New York, USA, is an American author, lecturer, guide, and a proponent of Sphinx water erosion hypotheses in geology. He was influenced by R.A. Swaller de Lebesgue. In 1993, his work with Robert M. Schoch, a geologist and associate professor of natural sciences at the College of General Studies at Boston University, was presented by Charlton Heston in a NBC special called The Mysteries of the Sphinx that won West a News and Documentary Emmy Award for Best Research and a nomination for Best Documentary. The documentary contends that the main type of weathering evidence on the Great Sphinx and surrounding enclosure walls could only have been caused by prolonged and extensive rainfall during the time period from 10,000 to 5,000 BCE and was carved out of limestone bedrock by an ancient advanced culture such as the heavy Neolithic Qurarone culture. This challenged the conventional dating of the carving of the statue circa 2500 BCE. West suggests that the Sphinx may be over twice as old as originally determined, whereas Schoch made a more conservative determination of between 5,000 and 7,000 BCE. John Anthony West's publications are John Anthony West and Jan Gerhard Tunder, The Case for Astronomy, Quest Books, in 1970, John Anthony West's Serpent in the Sky, The High Wisdom of Ancient Egypt, Quest Books, 1993, John Anthony West, The Traveler's Key to Ancient Egypt, A Guide to the Sacred Places of Ancient Egypt, Quest Books, 1996. John Anthony West and Laird Scranton, The Science of the Dogon, Decoding the African Mystery Tradition, Quest Books, 2006. John Anthony West and Laird Scranton, Sacred Symbols of the Dogon, The Key to the Advanced Science in the Ancient Egyptian Hieroglyphs, Quest Books, 2007. Sacred geometry is the geometry used in the planning and construction of religious structures such as churches, temples, mosques, religious monuments, altars, tabernacles, as well as for sacred spaces such as temenoi, sacred groves, village greens, and holy wells, and the creation of religious art. In sacred geometry, symbolic and sacred meanings are ascribed to certain geometric shapes and certain geometric proportions. According to Paul Coulter, in the ancient world, certain numbers had symbolic meaning aside from their ordinary use for counting and calculating. Plane figures and polygons, triangles, squares, hexagons, and so forth were related to the numbers 3 in the triangle, for example. were thought of in a similar way, and in fact carried even more emotional value than the numbers themselves because they were visual. Okay. The belief that God created the universe according to the geometric plan has ancient origins. Plutarch attributed the belief to Plutarch, writing, "Plutarch said, God geometrizes continually. Convivialium disputationem liber 8:2." In modern times, the mathematician Carl Friedrich Gauss adopted this quote, saying, God arithmetizes. At least as late as Johannes Kepler, between 1571 and 1630, a belief in the geometric underpinning of the cosmos persisted among scientists. According to Stephen Skinner, the study of sacred geometry has its roots in the study of nature and the mathematical principles at work therein. Many forms observed in nature can be related to geometry. For example, the chambered nautilus grows at a constant rate, and so its shell forms a logarithmic spiral to accommodate the growth without changing shape. Also, honeybees construct hexagonal cells to hold their honey. These and other correspondences are seen by believers in sacred geometry to be further proof of the cosmic signature of geometric forms. Geometric ratios and geometric figures were often employed in the design of Egyptian, ancient Indian, Greek, and Roman architecture. Medieval European cathedrals also incorporated symbolic geometry. Indian and Himalayan spiritual communities often constructed temples temples and fortifications on design plans of mandala and yantra. Many of the sacred geometry principles of the human body and of ancient architecture have been compiled into the Vitruvian man drawing by Leonardo da Vinci, itself based on the much older writing of the Roman architect Vitruvius. Stephen Skinner suggests that it is possible to place a geometric diagram over virtually any image of a natural object or human creature structure and find some lines intersecting the image. If the geometric diagram does not intersect major physical points in the image, the result is what Skinner calls unanchored geometry. Pythagoras is often credited for discovering that an oscillating string stopped halfway along its length produces an octave relative to the string's fundamental, while a ratio of 2:3 produces a perfect fifth and 3:4 produces a perfect fourth. However, the Chinese culture already featured the same mathematical positions on the guqin and the tone holes in flutes, so Pythagoras was not the first. Pythagoreans believed that these harmonic ratios gave music power of healing, which could harmonize an out-of-balanced body. the Masonic Matthew Cook manuscript, written around 1450, and one of the oldest of the Masons' early documents. The text, which purports to describe the craft of stonemasonry from the dawn of time down to the Middle Ages, contains a strange variant of the legend of the two pillars for wisdom, famous from Jewish lore. These pillars, first mentioned by Flavius Josephus, was supposedly erected before the flood by, take your pick, Hermes Trismegistus, Watchers, Nephilim, Seth, Enoch, Enosh, etc., in order to preserve either divine science or the secret teachings of the fallen angels or the industrial arts from potential destruction by flood or flame. As Josephus put it in describing the astrological knowledge of the progeny of Seth in Book 1 of his Antiquities, I have a hard time with words, guys, so excuse me. He says, 70, and that their inventions might not be lost before they were sufficiently known, upon Adam's prediction that the world was to be destroyed at one time by the force of fire, and at another time by the violence of quantity of water. They made two pillars, the one of brick and the other of stone. They inscribed their discoveries on them both. 71. That in case the pillar of bricks should be destroyed by the flood, the pillar of stone might remain and exhibit those discoveries of mankind, and also inform them that there was another pillar of brick erected by them. Now this remains in the land of Syriad, i.e. Egypt, to this day. Translation William Whiston. The Cook manuscript variant is odd because, unlike all the others, it attributes the building of the pillars to Tubal-Cain, the first blacksmith. Ye shall understand that this son Tubal-Cain was the founder of smiths, crafts, and other crafts of metal. He and his siblings had known that God would take vengeance for sin, either by fire or water, and they had greater care how they might do to save the sciences that they had found. And they took their counsel together, and by all their wits they said that there were two manner of stones, of such virtue that one would never burn, and that stone is called marble, and that the other stone that will not sink in water, and that stone is named latris. And so they devised to write all the sciences that they had found in these two stones, so that if that God takes vengeance by fire, that the marble should not burn.